Shabbat Shalom. Today's video is sponsored by Carlos and Edna Bazbaz in memory of Edna's grandfather, Edward David ben Farha. Tiyeh nishmato tzura b'tzura hayim began eden tiyeh menuchato. This week's parasha, Moshe Rabbeinu is standing on the last day of his life. He gathers all the Jewish people together and he warns them of the pitfalls that will befall them if they leave the path that Hashem set out for them. And in his warning, towards the end, it says, "Vayitashem Hashem al matam." There may come a time that you will be removed from your land, from Eretz Yisrael. Vayashlichem el Eretz acheret. You will be cast out to foreign lands. You will be sent into exile, into galut. But if you look at the word Vayashlichem, that letter lamed is large. It's a big lamed, bigger than all the other letters. And the question is why? Why did the Torah choose to write a large lamed? If you look in Kohelet, Shlomo HaMelech, in his book of wisdom, he describes Lechol zman va'et lechol chefetz tachat hashamayim. There is a time for everything under the sun. There's et laledet. There are times to be born. Et lamut, and there's time to die. Et latat, there's a time to plant. Et la'akor, there's a time to uproot. Et lifrotz, there's a time to break down. Et livnot, there's times to build. He counts 25 different times that we go through in life. And every single one is preceded by a letter lamed, except for two. Two times that Shlomo Melech mentions, it doesn't say lamed. Et sefod, a time to eulogize. The et rekod, a time to dance. Et sefod, attending a funeral. The et rekod is attending a wedding. See, every time is preceded by a lamed to teach us the importance. Lamed means limud, means learning. The Abu Draham writes, the reason why the lamed here is to teach you that in all situations, we don't stop learning. We don't leave the Bet Midrash. We don't leave the study hall, except for two. For a funeral, we're obligated to close the sefer, close the book, and join a funeral procession. And for a wedding, to misameach hatan vekala, to rejoice with the bride and the groom, is also a time we're obligated to close the sefer, leave the study hall, leave the Bet Midrash, and go to a wedding. The lamed represents limud, represents learning. Here that Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us, Vayashlichem el Eretz acheret. Even when you're cast away to a foreign land, you're in galut, that lamed will remain large. Not only will it remain large, it will become larger. Torah will flourish in exile. And we find the Talmud Bavli is written where in Babel, when we were in exile in Babylonia. And all our great Rishonim, all the great Torah wisdom that we have was written in Germany and Spain, in Europe, in Iraq, in Syria, places of exile. Moshe Rabbeinu is giving us a silver lining. Even though there'll come a time you'll be cast away. Vayashlichem, that lamed is large to teach us. But no matter where you are, the Torah will flourish. But it's also a warning. And what keeps us together in galut and exile is that lamed, is that large lamed, is that learning. That's a common language we all speak. What unifies the Jewish people is the Torah that Hashem gave us. No matter where we are, no matter what part of the world, we have something in common. That's that lamed, that's that learning. And the way to survive the exile, the way to survive galut, whenever challenges are thrown our way, let's focus on that lamed. We double our efforts in learning, and that will pull us through. The Chida writes that if you take out the lamed from Vayashlichem, he says the numerical value that's left is the same numerical value, the same gematria as Esav. And the message the Chida says is that when we don't have that lamed, when we're not learning as Jews, we're not connected to the Torah, It's not what unifies us, but we focus on other things. Then unfortunately the nations of the world, that's when our trials and tribulation, our challenges start. That's when they begin to instigate against us. What keeps us safe in Galut is that Lamed, is that Torah. So as we're approaching Rosh Hashanah, a new year, let's redouble our efforts and not let a day pass by that we don't sit and learn even a few minutes, because that's what makes us a nation. That's what connects us as Jews, and that's what preserves us during challenging times. Shabbat Shalom.